All right, everybody. Well, we'll get started here real quickly. My name is Nathan Moses. I serve as one of the board members for the CWNA, and I am representing our kind of commercial and institutional representation as part of OSU Cascade. So tonight, I'm going to run you real quickly through what we're going to do for tech because this may be new for some of you. As we go through the agenda tonight, we are going to have two opportunities for a community vote. This is by far one of the most important things of our 30-minute meeting tonight. It's going to look like a polling question for you all. So as we go through the presentation, you are going to see a screen pop up on your screen that it's going to be approve or disapprove for the two pieces that are going to be up for tonight. Additionally, we're going to ask for some nominations of board members, and we're going to actually have you put that directly into the question and answer panel. So for everybody's screens, down at the bottom, you should see a Q&A button. You can simply open that up, and when we ask for nominations for names for the different wards, you can actually input someone's name, even if it's yourself, and we would love that for representation for your area directly in the Q&A. So we will do a reminder as we go on, but please just kind of follow along with the screen, and it should be pretty easy, hopefully, for everybody. So Lisa, I'll let you take it away and start it.
Great. Nathan, thank you very much. Just as an aside, it looks like our board member, Doug Meyer, is still having difficulty. If there's a fresh link, you might be able to send him. I'd appreciate it. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for being here this evening. We're going to kick it off with our Century West Neighborhood Association annual meeting. And we do have several board members with us. I think we're just missing one of our board members, but hopefully we'll get him online here shortly. Just real briefly, we've got Susan Collins, and you see her up on the screen as she's one of my presenters this evening. Glenn Grachowski is on with us, as is Kurt Compton, and of course our tech master and event guru, Nathan Moses, is another board member, and we want to extend a special thanks to him this evening because we couldn't pull this off without him. Quite literally, there's no way technology-wise the rest of us could do this, right, Susan? Right. Without any further ado, this is our brief agenda. We're going to get into a bylaws update, and Susan's going to take us through that. We'll get into board nominations, a quick overview of our financials and membership, and then at the end we'll hold some public Q&A, and Nathan's going to tell us how that's going to operate. So without further ado, Susan, I'm going to turn it over to you for a bylaws update.
That sounds great. So as you can see, everybody, I got the really fun and sexy part of this presentation, bylaws. So I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to make it pretty simple, but I want to reference one thing to you because at our annual meeting, this is the time when we make any changes to our bylaws. This is the time we do it. It requires a special meeting and a vote by all of you in order to change the bylaws that are established for CWNA. Down at the bottom of your screen right now on number 6, you will see there's a red line document. This is the document where you'll actually, if you'd like to go into that and see the different items that I'm going to address here kind of broadly, you can look at the writing there if you'd like to take a look at that. The reason that we're doing the bylaws update this way is because for the last several years, we really needed to make some changes. I've been on the board for probably 4 years, Lisa, a lot longer than that. And we've noticed in our meetings a bit of a cadence that the bylaws interrupts a little bit. And so we'd like to streamline things. And so this is our opportunity to do that. So the first change that we are recommending will give us greater flexibility to our board and our ward assignments. Right now, we have 7 positions that are, actually 8 positions that are tied to specific geographic areas or tied to an academic institution or commercial. And that has prevented us at moments from having people join the board because we didn't have enough at-large positions. So we're making a shift away from people being tied to a specific neighborhood or several neighborhoods to allowing people to join the board regardless of which area that they live in. We also want to make a recognition of virtual meetings as being, right now it says that there'll be in-person meetings and virtual meetings need to be added so that this is an acceptable way for us to do business. Additionally, in our bylaws, we have an area that talks about the board of directors can create committees to do work within Century West Neighborhood Association. But there are moments, and we have 2 of those right now, where we actually have external, we have to appoint people or recommend people to represent CWNA externally. One of those, for example, would be to the Neighborhood Leadership Alliance or Association Lease. Anyway, and they report directly into the city of Bend. Lisa represents us. This is all the neighborhood associations that meet together. And Lisa is our representative to that. But we as a board need to have the authority to be able to recommend her for that appointment or anything like that. Number 4, reduces the timelines for the general and special meeting notification. This was written quite a long time ago when our notification was not electronic predominantly, as opposed to being sent out in the mail. And so it tied us to 30 days advance notice. And we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves flexibility to not have to do that and to be able to let everybody know electronically with a shorter amount of time if we needed a general or special session. The number 5 is eliminates, there is a circular reference within the document that requires us to have a certain number of members. I think right now it says 10 members for a general session to be a quorum in order for us to vote on anything to do business on behalf of the organization. We are changing that to a majority of the people who are in attendance. And we want to make sure, and I want you to take a look at that if you have any question about the way we've worded that, because later in the document, it then just says you need to have a majority of the number of people in attendance. So right now we want to remove the number 10 so that we can do this work. So let's go to the next slide, Lise. Okay, so with that overview, unless I don't see anything over in the Q&A, if there's not any questions, and if you do have questions, you can throw them over in Q&A. But if not, I need to get an approval from someone on the board to approve these changes.
Susan, I motioned that we approve the bylaw adjustments as you described tonight.
I'll second.
All right, so I think this is where you work your magic, Nathan.
Yep, so everybody, we're going to relaunch the poll right now, and you will see a screen pop up with all of you, panelists included, to approve or disapprove the measure as presented tonight. And we will need everybody's participation, so please be sure to vote on this. Nice job, everybody. And we will count anybody that has not voted as an abstain for this one per this process. So it looks like we got 14. If anybody else can get in there for a vote, that would be great.
Okay, Nathan, with that, are we able to print off who voted? Are we able to see who voted? Because I think in a couple of situations, we have more than one person viewing the presentation.
Yep. Well, right now with abstentions considered, we have 13-1 approval.
Okay. Okay, are we good?
I think so. So I think everybody's submitted votes that they are, or there's a question and answer real quick here. Lisa, the question is just for clarification, a minimum number of attendees required before we enact the rule. Do you want to go through that? We simply have to have 10 voting members, everybody. So we need 10 votes from the neighborhood association with a majority vote to be able to enact a bylaw adjustment. All right, I think that is it. So with 13-1, with 9 abstentions, the vote passes.
Okay, Susan, does that jive with you? Do we
Yes,
have,
it does. I think
have-
that's it.
we have approval for
have
the change in
approval.
bylaws?
We have approval for the bylaws, so thank you everybody for that. And I think it'll make things run much more smoothly for the organization. So we really appreciate that. And I also want to let you know that that actually now impacts the next section, which is looking at how that has impacted the number of available board positions. And anybody on here who'd love to get involved, we absolutely would love to have you. So I'm going to let Lisa take over. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thanks, Susan. Appreciate you. Okay, next section. See, we actually got through that fairly quickly. Next section, board nomination. So what I wanted to do, first of all, is I wanted to give you guys a summary of the current assignments. And we recognized when we were looking at our bylaw changes that, first of all, we landed on an even number of positions, which is not really ideal for a board. And that has left us with 6 open positions and 6 filled positions. And so you can see currently on this first slide, here's a summary of the first 4 wards. And then the next slide, here is a summary of the next 6. You'll notice that Ward 8 has a student position, and this is the old style. So this was also one of our goals, is to try to shift as many open positions to the member at large roles as we could, and move our existing committee members and board members to the current slots. So now we're going to move into, with our bylaws approved, this is what the wards will look like now. We will have really 3 wards that are tied to the individual communities, the different subdivisions. And what you're seeing is that this year for 2021, the only positions that we need to vote on are the odd number wards. So the way that it works is, in even years, we vote on the even positions, and in odd years, we vote on the odd positions. Now, with the recasting of the way that this, of the way that our board is, or excuse me, our wards are organized, we still have an even number 6, as an open position. And so what we're doing this evening, we've got candidates that we need to renominate for board number 1. And Susan Collins has agreed to accept the nomination for board number 1, or ward number 1, excuse me. Ward number 3, I will accept a nomination for ward 3. We would move Doug Meyer, our board member, who was previously in an at-large position in number 9, we're going to move him to number 5. Kurt Compton previously was in number 11, and we're going to move him to number 6. The reason for that is Kurt's been on the board, I think, for just over a year, and that just seemed to make the most sense, so that we could continue to have the at-large positions for new people that want to join us. So that's going to leave us with 3 at-large positions and give us a whole bunch more flexibility. So with that, this is another summary. We need a motion and a second, and then another vote. So Nathan's going to get us back to that voting, polling situation again. These are the positions that we are voting on. We have 4 of the positions that have specific individuals. If anybody would like to volunteer, now's a great time to raise your hand. And we would love for new people to join us and add to the strength of our board. I do have to say how pleased I am that the majority of this board has been together now for 5 years, roughly. And I think we've had a couple of people come and go, but it's been pretty solid for the last 4 or 5 years. And so we've got open positions, and we really could use your help so that we could do some more fabulous things. We've had a really busy year with lots of development going on in the community, lots of land use issues, but there's some other things that we'd like to do around neighborhood safety, perhaps a cleanup day. So lots of other things that we'd like. So
Hey, Lisa.
yes,
Well,
ma'am.
you're doing that. I want to make a pitch too to everybody that's that's out there, if you don't mind, just because I want to give you the perspective. Because you never quite know what you're getting into with a board, but our board meets once a month and we're doing it virtually. And we actually have really enjoyed doing this virtually. We get a lot done, and it allows us to have guest speakers easily, which we have had members of council, the police chief, a number of different people many people over the years. And it's a really great way to understand what's happening, not only within our own neighborhood, but kind of the dynamics that are impacting us, that are taking place with the city. And it's a really good opportunity to get to know the players, and how you can have an impact. So I wouldn't want to discourage anybody. So it doesn't, no pressure to anybody who's joined this call, but also if you know anybody, let them know about it, because we'd love to have some fresh faces at the table as well.
Thank you, Susan. Great ad. And if we don't have volunteers this evening, then we are not limited during the rest of the year. We're not prevented from adding new people. You can join one of our meetings and test it out for a couple of months. And then if you decide that this is for you and you want to get involved, we would be happy to welcome you, and we can vote and make the recommendation at a board meeting. So with that, Nathan, I turn it over to you.
All right. Well, if there are no contributions here, and again, let's give one more chance real quick. You just open up the question and answer button and just type your name in if you'd like to nominate yourself for it for consideration. So let's give that just about 20 seconds just to make sure that we've caught everybody. And if for some reason you come in after our vote, then again, the board will take a look at that name and to place after the fact. So I'm going to go ahead and I move that we vote on the approval of the slate of board nominations as listed on the screen currently.
I will be happy to second that again.
All right, everybody, we're going to launch polling. Same thing. If you're CWNA membership, make sure that you approve or disapprove this slate. You're active now. And for the record, since it's recorded, I can't actually submit a vote, but I will be voting approve on this one. So my vote is not actually shown on screen, but we have hit our 10, so great. If anybody else would like to vote, let's go ahead and get that in the next 20 seconds. Again, we're going to assume that if you are not voting, you're abstaining from this vote. 10 more seconds. Okay, everybody, vote closes. We have 12 approvals, and it looks like we have 11 abstentions, counting myself. So no disapprovals of this. Vote passes.
Thank you again, Tech Master. For those of you that were paying attention, you may have seen two slides that jumped in front of you, and those slides were backups just in case we did not approve the bylaws. Then we would have had to vote on our board members with the existing makeup of our ward and at-large positions. So your eyes were not deceiving you, but that's full disclosure for you. Let's go into financials, just a really quick overview. And I have there. So our 2020-21 budget, we were allotted $6,735. And so far this year, we have actual expenses, and these are fully reimbursed expenses of $380. If I go through everything that the board has approved and some of our projects, I know that we have close to about $2,000 in estimated known expenses, but that still leaves us with a pretty significant balance. So you can imagine what one of our topics is going to be in May. And remember that the fiscal year ends at the end of June. So we really have May and June to figure out what else we could be doing to enhance the communications of our neighborhood, around our neighborhood. One of those may include a mailer for a membership drive. And so the board will be talking about this in May. And next, in terms of membership, so CWNA has a total of 2,306 tax lots. And just taking a look at, we use MailChimp for our mailing list management system. And if I look at MailChimp and I run a report, I find that we have 566 unique emails. And something that's been kind of unusual for a mailing list is at one point when we solicited membership, we allowed couples and family units to enroll with just one email. We've since changed that practice, and we very much appreciate and ask for 2 distinct emails because we really like to see the number of members increase. But we still by hand go through and we count the number of email addresses we have that actually shows 2 people at that address with just one email. So that adds about 113 people to that 566. So if you look at our total membership, then we're closer to that 679 number. The other thing that CWNA allows is we have options for people to join our membership list or our mailing list, and they don't have to actually be members. And we have 23 people that have signed up for CWNA who are not actually living or working inside of our neighborhood association boundary. This includes a high number of individuals who work for the city of Bend, but we've also recently added distinctions to allow people from Tethero, Widgie Creek, in at 7th Mountain, people that have residences just outside of the city limits, but they still want to be informed. And we want them to be informed, and we welcome their participation. So currently we have 23 non-members. The other thing that we take a look at each year is how many new enrollees did we have? And so at this point, without having done much at all, because we don't have a communications or a membership person, it's really up to the entire board to solicit membership. We're sitting at 20 new enrollees for this new fiscal year. And I can tell you that that's much higher than it has been in the prior couple of years before that. But we sure would like to see that closer to about 50. We'd like to see about a 10, 10% membership growth per year, if that's at all possible. So that's something that we'll be working on. And gosh, the next item for everyone, and actually we're right on schedule, it's 5:55. So I want to let everyone know our next board meeting is Thursday, May 20th. It's always the 3rd Thursday of each month, unless we somehow need to reschedule it. But we'll be meeting Thursday, May 20th, 5:30 p.m. It will still be a virtual meeting until all of this COVID nonsense ends. So it will be a Zoom. The meeting link is posted, and the meeting link never changes from month to month. It's always the same. So you'll find that out on our website at centurywestneighborhood.com, and it's on our meetings page. And that's also where we post the agenda. Nathan, what did I forget?
I think as far as our first part of our business meeting, I think that was the most efficient and quickest business meeting we have ever had. So nice work. I think that's about it. Before we close up, I will do a quick little reminder about our presentations coming up. So if you both think that we're at that point, I'll go ahead and do that.
I think we were going to open it up for Q&A
Okay.
and see if there was anything that people wanted to ask from the audience.
Yep.
And then after that, then let's move to the Fire Ready Bend presentation.
Perfect. Okay, so as everybody's thinking of questions, if you have them, again, 2 things, resources. You've got a button at the bottom of your screen that says chat. If you hit that button, it's going to pop up something on the right side of your screen. I've put a couple items in there. So you can email centurywestneighborhood@gmail.com directly if you have a question after the event, or you can open up that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type your question in right now. So as you all are thinking about those questions, what I will do is go ahead and talk about The next thing that I put in our presentation in the chat is I actually put the direct links for the 3 presentations that will be occurring at 6:10 right after this business meeting. So we'll have a little bit of a transition. So if you're looking at the home ignition zone presentation from Boone, who is here right now, and we'll get to him here in about 10 minutes, you actually just stay in this room. But if you're looking to go to fire ecology or fire resistant planting, you can use the link that's on your Eventbrite ticket that you had for this evening, or you can literally click on the link that I just put in chat to open up that new window when we do close out tonight. Just make sure to use the password as listed. So you've got 2 options to find your presentation tonight. So we will await some additional questions if you all have them. And it is quick. It's quicker to raise your hand than type. So if folks would like the opportunity just to ask a question out loud, I can open up your mic to do that as well. Just let me know by raising your hand. All right, question coming in. Oh, it looks like before it went away, but looks like how many people live in the CWNA area?
So that was actually on my membership slide, and we have 2,306 tax lots. That doesn't tell us specifically how many individuals live at each one of those tax lots, and it also doesn't tell us for sure how many empty tax or how many empty lots we have. So I know throughout our neighborhood, we actually have quite a few empty lots. They're filling up fast, though, aren't they? So I can't answer that specifically. We are hoping that we're going to get more specific information from the city of Bend here in the next few months. This is something that we've been asking for as a resource to actually drill down and give us census data, census level data, tell us a little bit more about who lives here. One of the goals of our membership drive has actually been, and I think everybody knows that this is a city goal, is to try to make it a little bit more diverse and try to, make sure that we are including as many of the people who live and work in CWNA as we can. But we need to better understand the dynamics of our neighborhoods and then figure out how we can go after those people and how we can invite them to become members and make sure that we're having the right kinds of events to draw their attention and to get them to participate. Susan, anything else to add?
Sounds good. Well, Lisa, the next question is from Leslie. How is Touchmark counted in regards to our participation with us?
So I believe that Touchmark, like each individual, whether it's an apartment or a home, that still counts as one unit. That still counts as a different tax lot.
Good question. All right.
And we absolutely do want Touchmark people to join us. So we're pretty excited. We've made contact with a couple of people here just in the last couple of weeks, and I can't see who asked the question, but I have a feeling it may have been Leslie.
Well, it was Leslie.
And if it was Leslie, welcome. And it was great to talk with you. And we look forward to having a very specific Touchmark event when that works for you guys.
And I will say, one of the unique things about CWNA is the fact that we have not only residential neighbors, but we have commercial, we have institutional, so we actually have a really neat blend. And I think we're continuing to try to figure out the best way to get everybody involved, so it is more of a collective. That's not everybody's situation. Most of the neighborhood associations are dealing just with traditional residential neighbors, so it's kind of a unique part about being a part of us. So thank you for those questions.
No, the one caveat that I should mention is that in terms of OSU and the dorms, we do not count the individual dorms as separate tax lots. So OSU really is just one tax lot, but that does not preclude students from joining us. We would welcome students if they were interested in joining us. We tried creating an OSU student role a couple of years ago, and we did have an individual who served in that capacity for about a year. And I think she opened our eyes to a few opportunities and the way that we were communicating and how to actually go after more students. So that's something that we'll be continuing to talk about.
Excellent. Well, I want to make sure that we give everybody time to transition. So again, if you have any last minute questions, let's put that in the Q&A. But if not, again, if something comes up, please email us. So if you look in the chat, again, at the very first item I put in there, centurywestneighborhood@gmail.com if you have any questions. And again, I guess my concluding piece, in addition to thanking you all for participating tonight, is that the 3 links for the presentations you'll be going to after this are listed in here. So you've got that. Oh, looks like we do have one last question. Mount Bachelor Village has its own HOA. How is that related to CWNA? That's a great question.
That is a fabulous question. So CWNA actually has, oh gosh, I can't even remember, but it's something like 12 different HOAs. And HOAs are very different than neighborhood associations. HOAs are really focused on what's going on in your specific neighborhood. And it has to do with maintaining the HOA property, probably your own rules about speed, your own rules about whether you've got speed bumps or humps or lumps or whatever they are. And various other things that are very specific to the HOA. There are some HOAs, I'll use Broken Top as an example, who they have their own safety committee. And when you look at an HOA safety committee versus what's going on with the city and our focus, the neighborhood associations focus on safety, I would say that the neighborhood associations focus is much larger. We're talking about things that for example, in our neighborhood, we have an issue on Century Drive with speed. So that doesn't affect an individual HOA, it affects all of us within the community, and it also affects the greater Bend community. So it's not as specific. But we don't get involved, we don't collect dues. Your membership with a neighborhood association is always free. It turns out that we can accept donations, but we haven't had a need to ask for donations because, quite honestly, we have a hard time spending all of the money we do get. We'll see about that. What else am I missing? The neighborhood associations get involved with city objectives. So you might be familiar with the neighborhood street safety program, neighborhood street safety program, or NSSP. And that was a program where the Neighborhood Leadership Alliance worked with all of the individual neighborhood associations to look at various projects that needed to happen throughout the city. We prioritized those projects. We took a look at the amount of the budget that we had and also compared the number of safety concerns, the number of injuries, accidents, and unfortunately deaths that were happening. And that criteria all allowed us to prioritize the projects and give the city basically a pretty good to-do list. So we get involved with some bigger topics. Another topic that we get involved in as a neighborhood association is the land use process. And you might be familiar with getting land use notices in the mail, and Century West also receives a copy of all of those land use.
Nope, might have lost Lisa.
Questions of the developer, and then we'll push information out to the membership as needed. And we've been very involved with the City of Bend in code changes. So I think it's very difficult as an individual person to wave the flag to say there really needs to be a code change that extends the radius of the notification area from 250 feet to 500 feet. And that's a very specific example that we were successful from the Neighborhood Leadership Alliance with feedback through all of the neighborhood associations and other members, other neighborhood association members that brought that to our attention. So it gives us a louder voice, and it gives us an opportunity to have a seat at the table with the City of Bend and work through some needed changes. That was a long answer. Sorry about that.
Good answer though. That was a good answer though, but Thank you, Lisa. All right, everybody. So we are at 6:07, so let's allow for some transition time. Again, we will see you in the next rooms. Home ignition zones, fire ecology, or fire resistant planning are in chat or in your ticket, and we will see you in your next room. So thanks for participating, everybody.
Thank you.